night on Sunday night, as long as the questions are based on appropriate topics and they're appropriately structured. We will be able to answer those questions so that we can help you guys decipher some of the things that aren't strategically lined up throughout the show. But like Dylan brought up a question one night over the week, if certain questions are asked, that might turn into a whole show, because not only can I give you some in the moment advice for your individual position, I can also do a broad spectrum show covering that exact same topic on a more grander scale, which allows you to get a lot more insight on improving yourself in the future related to the same question that you had. So we cover a lot of stuff, and we're live, like I said, every night of the week, holidays, weekends, natural disasters. Until we're in a situation where we don't have power and we don't have internet and we can't stream at all, we're going to be here. So like an EMP attack, probably going to be the only way we're not going to stream. But as long as I can plug some solar panels up to this bad boy, I'll be outside in the dark stream. We're going to get this done. But you will learn from us on a regular basis so that you have the capabilities to understand how and when to make the right choices that benefit you. So since today we're going to be tackling this big topic, which is romance. Specifically, we're going to be covering how to sweep your partner off of their feet without breaking your bank. Specifically, this is going to be for men, because we have not reached an era where women are really 100% comfortable with leading the relationship appropriately with their alpha boss lady mentality by paying for the first 10 or 20 dates, 30, 40 dates, to invest in the relationship enough to make sure that you have the right man that is making the right decisions before you start tapping into his wallet. Right now, we have a culture where more often than not, while women make enough money to pay for themselves and while women make enough money to lead a relationship financially, they prefer to default to traditional ways to the magnitude and the fullest extent of it, the man must pay for everything. Some women are willing to go no further than 50-50, and they advocate that as egalitarian or, equality. And it's not, because at the end of the day, you're asking for equal stake in decision making, but you're selecting a man whose job is supposed to be making decisions. If you're asking for equal stake, the problem that you're going to have with that, which I don't object to equal stakes, but it's a conundrum, because if there's two of you there to decide who's got the majority vote, you know what I mean? If you both are equal and something needs to get done, one says yes and one says no, does it get done or does it not get done? If we can't agree and it doesn't get done, then the person that says no has the majority vote. If we can agree and it gets done anyway, the person that says yes has a majority vote. Well, if we look at it from that perspective, there isn't a 50-50 there. It's going to be 60-40, 55-45, but it's not going to be 50-50. Somebody's going to have a priority vote between two people, because otherwise you would need a third person in a relationship, which is a polygamy relationship, where the third person is a tiebreaker. So what you need to do in a relationship, ladies, y'all need to be finding a guy that makes the type of decisions that y'all agree with. That way you don't have to make the decision, not because it's not your right to make the decisions, but because you trust his judgment. If you trust his judgment, the only time that you're going to bring up a alternative is when you are not objecting to his decision, but you are enhancing his decision with additional options to upgrade the scenario from just going to Chuck E. Cheese to going to Chuck E. Cheese in a game room, or instead of just going to dinner, going into a dinner and going to putt at the same time, or instead of just going to a movie that has dinner in the movie. So instead of us going to a restaurant first and then going to a movie theater, which could take 4 to 6 hours, we could go to a movie theater that serves restaurant style food at the movie theater, and we get the dinner and movie at the same time. So when you're providing alternative solutions to improve the relationship, to improve the decision, instead of just advocating for a long trip, let's stop at this gas station, You could say, well, since we're stopping at this gas station for a bathroom break, not only fill the car, but make sure that there's gas in the gas can in the trunk, so that if we miss the next gas station, we still got extra gas. So the thing is that you're not just bossing your boyfriend around. Instead, you're taking whatever decision that he makes and you're improving it with additional input, not just arguing with him and just shutting down all of his ideas. That gives you a healthier relationship. But until we can get to that point, we're going to be talking about these dates. So this is pretty much going to hit for the fellas more than it hits for the ladies. But if women decide that they want to start taking the lead and being responsible in their advocacy for equality, you can use these efforts to start these dates up cheaper, where you can start investing in the dates, but not break your bank at the same time. Michael says, if I ain't hitting it, we're going Dutch. Well, Michael, you're 71 years old, 72 years old. So your logic comes from the 50s and 60s. And we have to recognize that if you as a man are thinking that you're going to get laid out of this engagement, then you're not looking at what the girl is bringing to the table. So you're not paying attention to her worthiness and value in the relationship. If the only thing you're going to the date for is the sex, then you're in a situation where you don't care if she values you, if she respects you, if she's willing to work with you, cooperate, negotiate, if she's going to reinvest in you and build something with you, or if she's just going to be there for a good time and spend up all of your money. When men bring it down to, I must get sex for the quantity of money that I'm paying, or I'm just going to pay for myself. And when women bring it down to, he's got to pay all the time, you're making it transactional, where you're trading sex for money. And adult freelance workers, escorts, however you want to label it, do the exact same thing. When they meet you, they know that they're going to sleep with you, but they know that they're walking away with a certain quantity of money that y'all agreed upon. And whatever happens in that engagement happens, whether they get fed, whether they have a fun time, or they just sleep with you for whatever amount of time that you're paying for. That's what they get. That's the Riley theory. Why go through the process of renting them and calling it dating instead of just paying for the transaction? That's the Riley theory. And the logic behind this is, if you're looking for a genuine long-term partner, you're looking for a lifelong commitment. You're not looking for an individual that is not going to work towards you. He says sex is the oldest profession, even if she's toothless. That may be true, Michael, but you're not looking for a low quality, low grade woman. You're looking for a wife. Well, you might be looking for a low quality, low grade woman, but the average man is not looking for a low quality, low grade woman. They're looking for wife material, and wife material is going to be a partner that's going to aid you in your success in a relationship, and success in life. So sex is not going to be a part of that. Yeah, it is. The engagement between the two of you is going to have some sex involved in the relationship. The intimacy is going to be there. But the thing is that y'all are not going to be successful in the bedroom. Right. Like you said, you're not looking for a wife. But the fact is that what we're talking about, the guys that are. We're talking to the guys that are. So you were doing good yesterday, and now it seems like you grabbed a few beers after the game and you kind of fell off. So many people think that a grand romantic gesture has to be expensive, but I'm here to tell you guys that is not true. It's about emotions, not expenses, or at least it's supposed to be. And when we have individuals that switch up and make it about expenses and not emotions, that should not be identified as a valuable person to you. That should be a red flag. Now, this is going to be the core of it. Attention to details, personalization, and a little element of surprise will always matter more than money on both sides of the fence. So I'm going to give you guys a simple framework and a ton of concrete, low-cost ideas that you can use. So before you even start planning, The first step is to think about what actually makes your partner feel loved. This is going to be a little bit harder to do on first contact, but this is going to be a lot about understanding the other person's love language. There she goes, Cardinal Rules. She made it in the show on time, reasonably. I was late, so I was late today by almost a half hour. So we everybody's here, but we're going to be understanding love languages, which is such a crucial foundation. Now, it's a little bit harder to identify love languages out the gate because not too many people understand what a love language is. You can tell what someone's love language is based on how they express love to you. For example, a person whose love language is physical touch, they're going to be physically clingy. They're going to be holding you all the time, holding your hand, laying on you, hugging you, kissing you, stuff to that effect. A lot of women are overwhelmed by that when they're physically and emotionally distant, and that overwhelms them. But if physical touch is one of those things, that would be an issue, or that would be observed. Then when you have the love language of quality time, y'all don't have to touch each other at all. Y'all could just be in the same area at the same time. Or a person who values quality time might modify their schedule to deal with whatever you've got going on, because that's how they show that they care. I took off from work for you. I could be pissed off today. I could not want to be bothered with you, but I took off from work to be here for you right now in this moment. That's how I show I care. That quality time could be expressed there. You have words of affirmation, where validating somebody, receiving a lot of compliments is going to be how they value love. They would give you a lot of compliments. You would experience that. There's the other one with um, work-based tasks, and we're going to be going through these in just a second, where they do things for you, like help you fix stuff and help you move things around and stuff like that. That's how they show that you care. Now, I want to touch on this one before we start going through the list, because there are a lot of women whose love language would be actionable effort. And the irony of that is that while they claim gift giving is their love language, the reason why a lot of women complain about men not helping out around the house is because the women do not feel loved and validated and appreciated when the man doesn't come home and do something to help her out around the house to show that he cares. Not that it's his job or hers unilaterally, but he sees you in the kitchen washing dishes, and he comes over and helps you with the dishes, shows that he cares. He sees you in the room folding 5 or 7 loads of laundry, and he comes in and helps you do the laundry, it shows that he cares. These are the things that women are expecting but not talking about. And then they wonder why the guys are frustrated, because it's like, shit, I work 2 jobs and I came back and you want me to get in here and help you move the couch to show that I care. Like, it's a real wild thing. But let's run through them real quick. Hold on. Michael says, Love Language by Gary Chapman, 1992, a framework understanding how people express and receive love. Good research topic. They should probably go and look that book up. I didn't read that book, but it's good to know that it's out there. So, like I said before, we're going to kind of touch on these. First, you have words of affirmation, and this could be handwritten notes, sweet voice memos, and voice memos. Like nowadays, we have it on our text messages where you can hold the button and talk it to the phone and send them a voice text message instead of actually typing the thing. That's really good stuff. Then you have 10 things I love about you, and list those 10 things, hide it around the house for them to find. I've told you this before, to do things that sporadically triggers these love languages. Then there's going to be that quality time. As I mentioned before, for those people, that is all about choosing activities where you can be truly present and talk to them, get off of your phone, um, give them your undivided attention instead of playing video games while talking to them, because they're going to feel ignored about that. You want to think of a quiet walk that ends with dessert, stargazing, or just playing a board game together, something that you guys focus on each other. If you're competitive, you want to have it in your mindset that you're not going to win. So even if you do win, it's an accident. But if you don't win, you're not frustrated or pissed off about it, because that'll kill the mood. So you're you play to tie. You're not trying to throw the game. You play to tie. That's what you do. So I recommend, if you're going to really play a game, you should do something like Shoots and Ladders or Candyland or something like that. You don't want to get into something that is going to be like difficult for your opponent. You
Just as sure as I said it was going to do something ridiculous, there it goes doing something ridiculous. So hold on, what's going on with the browser? The camera back is what happened. Haha.
Back in action.
Back in action.
I told y'all we was ready for the rest of it. I told y'all they're messing with a lot of stuff right now. He said rose petals on the bed with a home cooked dinner. Rose petals on the bed is what you do for the honeymoon, Michael. That is not something that you do for the first date, because rose petals on the bed is supposed to be the romantic mood swing for the first night of sex, or something to that effect, or the first time y'all are able to have sex after the kids are gone off to their friend's house for dinner or whatever. Beyond that, that's not an idea for the first night or the first few nights. What other platforms are you on? Well, I'm utilizing StreamYard to stream from Twitter, Twitch, and YouTube on the long form, as well as the 6x9, so I can be seen on the 16:9 vertical form, where I'm on your For You page, and you can select me specifically from the 9x16. So you selected me from the 9x16, and Michael selected me from the For You page. So they said that they integrated the comment section, so y'all should be seeing each other's comments as they pop up. But if you don't, you see them on the screen, because I put them on the bottom on the 16x9, and they're at the top on the 9x16. So there's a lot of things going on right now, because YouTube is limited, and they're continuously upgrading things. So it doesn't even give you the actual viewer count of how many people are watching the show right now, because so many people are in and out. But they're still working on it. It was a pilot program that they started a few months ago, and they have not fixed it yet. So I could have a few thousand people on the show, and only the ones that are still here. Yeah, I see the comments on your screen, yes, but not in my live chat. So I've never been in it like this before. This is the only podcast that does this. And the reason why I do this is because when the guys from Twitter and the guys from Twitch have appropriate comments to say, and when we do get TikTok integrated into the system and they have something positive to say, this will be the first podcast pioneering this type of behavior, where all social media platforms that we are affiliated with will be in a group discussion, typically about something positive and hopefully uplifting. From time to time, we will have the ratchet debate, but I try my best to steer my way away from those. So this particular podcast is going to be a little bit different, because this is about spreading knowledge for self-development, self-improvement, and growth. So being a bro in a suit, not a hot chick with cleavage showing, not going to have 100,000 guys in this channel. You're typically going to have the largest majority of people here that want to improve themselves, male or female, but it's going to be more men than women, because this helps men become higher value men, which helps the women find better men. But it also is going to have women that are willing to accept that change is needed, because a lot of the things that hit close to home to some of the females, they don't like hearing anything negative because they don't like changing, and they don't want to be better, but they expect a man to accept them for who they are while not meeting his expectations. That double standard makes it harder for women over the age of 30 to find a man, because a man over the age of 40 is going to be looking for all the things that a woman over 30 doesn't want to be, and then she wants him to accept her for who she is while he's making 100,000 a year. So he has to up his standards to meet her qualifications, and she is going to force him to, well, he has to up his qualifications to meet her standards, but he has to lower his standards to accept her. And that's an unfair expectation to then call yourselves equal. So if he is able to do for you what you can do for yourself, y'all are equal. If he's doing more for you than what you can do for yourself, y'all aren't equal. If you are not capable of or willing to do for him what he can do for himself, y'all are not equal. So if he's doing it for himself and you're here and you're not doing it, y'all are not on the same playing field. You know what I'm saying? You're here for the ride when you're the only person benefiting from the relationship. It doesn't matter if you're a man or a woman. If you are not contributing to your partner, you are in it for the stuff that you're getting out of it, whether it's sex, whether it's money, free cars, houses, whatever you're doing it for. So this is definitely a different podcast in comparison to most podcasts. This is the only podcast on YouTube that does it. Actually, this is the only podcast on any platform that does it. And that's one of the reasons why we're one of the most undervalued podcasts out there, because I think the only podcast that comes close to what I got going on is Pearl, but Pearl doesn't actually talk about how to get better on both sides of the fence. She just points out how the feminist movement is corrupting the socialization of men and women, which she's doing a great job of, by the way. I agree with everything that she says, but she is not taking enough time to talk about the solution. So while she points out the problem, I take each one of those problems and then I bring up a solution because I'm not one to just nitpick at the other side of the fence and find fault in others, because in order for us to get improvement, first person accountability, it starts with yourself. So we have to figure out what we're doing wrong, and then we have to change ourselves, improve our decision making, and then proactively improve how we interact with the people around us by not allowing people in our presence to behave in ways that we don't tolerate. So non-negotiable expectations for behavior allows masculine men with emotional intelligence to not force a woman or demand a woman to behave a certain way. He sets a standard that if you're not willing to behave this way, I will not be with you. And that forces her to decide, does she want to walk out there with a dress so short that her crotch is hanging out below the dress, or does she want to listen to her man and have a dress closer to her knees where she's more covered up? If she decides that she wants the former, he's going to leave her for a guy who will take that kind of behavior. If she wants a guy that she's got to stay, then she's going to put on a longer dress. If he says change that outfit and she don't want to listen, that's fine. With your decision, you can pack up your stuff and go, because I'm not going to deal with that kind of behavior. FX Trader says, for a budget date, one would have to fly to the Philippines. It's a $2,000 trip to the Philippines. So, I mean, if you fly to the Philippines, that's not a budget date. But if you fly to the Philippines first, and then you find a woman you go on a date with, actually, a woman in the Philippines will give you 15 to 20 years of her life. Woman in America will give you 15, 20 minutes. So if you went to the Philippines and you got your woman from the Philippines, that is a career woman as far as relationships. That is family orientation. So she will stick with you. So all you have to do is not treat her bad and communicate and negotiate, and y'all are going to be able to make it. Y'all will find time to be satisfied on both sides, because she's going to give you 15, 20 years before she gives up on a relationship. A Western women, American women, she'll give up on you as soon as she finds another dude that's willing to spend more money. She'll give up on you when she finds another dude that's got more free time. And it makes no sense, because a guy that doesn't have free time because he's spending all his time working to make the money that she wants, She's not satisfied with that. And a guy that has free time doesn't have enough money. So she's not satisfied with that. So we don't know where the middle ground is. You know, men have standards. Once you meet those expectations, there is nothing else that you have to do. And the man's expectations do not contradict each other. His standards are his standards. And if you meet the bare minimum that men ask, you would be able to please a man with no problem. But there are single women out here right now because they don't want to, not because they can't. Cardinal Rose says, I feel that more often women's story from traditional roles of the house. And now that women work, they don't want to do all the housework too. But yeah, if the man is paying, the other partner need to keep up. Well, the thing is that the masculine women that we have in Western culture are currently demanding for the authority to decide what the final outcome should be, and then they revert to the traditional roles to make it the man's responsibility to get it done that way. And that is going to be a conflict of interest, because how are you going to tell me what to do with my money that I have to work for because you're here? If the roles were reversed, what woman would want to be making six figures and have a man tell her what to do with her money, her house, her car, if her friends can come over, if her family can come over, who she can and cannot talk to? And these are all of the standards that a woman is setting for a man. It wouldn't work. Her argument would be, if you want to make decisions here, pay your way, right? And that's where the equality argument is. I'll put up 50% so that I can have 50% into the decision making. But it doesn't work that way, because putting up your 50% in decision making is not doing anything other than developing a roommate, because the ability to have a masculine man protect and provide, he can't protect you if you don't follow instructions. And it doesn't matter if you can provide for yourself. If he is providing anything for you, you have to be able to cooperate with his ability to achieve what you need. For example, you need a car. He's going to go out and buy a car. He might buy a new car and give it to you and take the old car, just so that you don't have any mechanical problems. But the car that he got was an economy car that's not a luxury car. You're pissed off because it's not a luxury car. How does this work out? You might come into the relationship with a car. He might come into the relationship with a car. He might upgrade his car, and he's paying for that bill. He's going to swap cars with you. You're pissed off that he didn't buy a car in your name for you to drive, but you're driving his car that he's paying for. Your car's paid off and he's putting your car in the shop. There's cooperation that is needed. And 50-50 doesn't get cooperation. 50-50 means I put my money up on the table, so you got to do what I say because I paid into the arrangement. And that doesn't work. That causes financial arguments. I think women's expectations are that, because really women's liberation was to release them from only taking care of the house. It did not exempt them from taking care of the house. So when you think about the women in the 70s and 80s, they would work a full-time job, come home, be a mother, be a wife, respect their husband. He's working 2 jobs. They would take turns on the kids, and everything was, and she handled his finances. In the 70s and 80s, men didn't know what their clothes size were. Men didn't know what their shoe size was. Their wife would get their shoes for him. Their wife would get their clothes for him. You knew that that man had a woman because he looked good, because she did that, right? His hair was kept up because she did that. A lot of men learn how to tie their ties from their mama. And a lot of men learn how to pick a woman based on how well she can tie a tie. Because a woman that knows how to tie a tie knows how to take care of a man. Simple stuff. Nowadays, we got young men putting clip-on ties because they don't know how to tie a damn tie. Got girls that's over here with their hand out and she don't know how to tie a damn tie neither. Got your man going out there looking like shit for the interview. He don't get the good job, but you mad at him because he can't get a good job. I done seen some of these balloon popping episodes where these females is dissing a dude because he got wrinkles in his clothes. Well, if you doing your laundry and his laundry, you would have the ability to iron some of his clothes for him because he don't got enough time to iron his clothes, and you can help him out with that. It's not your responsibility to iron his clothes. But you could always go to the store and go and buy some clothes that got the wrinkle proof in it. That way he can flop flop and no wrinkles in his clothes. You can find solutions in the back end so that your man ain't walking around with wrinkles. But guess what's going to happen in that man's life? There is an improvement, because while he always wore a suit, he always wore a wrinkle suit because he never had time to iron his clothes. He did not always have time to drop his clothes off by the dry cleaners. But now he's got a good woman behind him, and now he's always got creases in his clothes. Simple shit. A man that'll work all the time, 2 jobs, hungry, famished, losing weight, making enough money to pay the bills. He's got a good woman. The man is almost fat. He's fed. He ain't hungry. He ain't tired. He's getting rest. There's value in women that want to be valuable. But women that only want to produce sex to be of value in the relationship are not valued. So that's why I keep telling Michael that, all of the romantic gestures that are going to lead to bedroom antics, that's not going to help you in the first handful of dates where you're supposed to be trying to figure out what kind of person you're dealing with here. Because men have to know what kind of woman she is, how much contribution she is. Yeah, we say we want a ride or die chick. We want a girl that'll help us clean up the crime scene and hide the body. But why not want a kind of woman that'll help us invest in a Fortune 500 company and buy more stock? Why we gotta have a woman that want a $250,000 wedding but don't want to have a $250,000 stock portfolio? Why do we have women that don't know what a Bitcoin is, but she know how to gargle in the back of her throat? Why do we not have, you understand what I'm telling you? This is the problem. And it's not just the women, because why women are dating dudes that is women to throw money in the air in a club, that's all the rent money. Why these women is dating dudes that's willing to buy a Porsche and a G-Wagon with all the rent money? How y'all gonna be able to pay for y'all kids' tuition when he just bought another Bentley? You know what I mean? Like you got wasted. It's not just the women; it's the men too. Like, women are going after the wrong dude. They got the camel toe out and they trotting through the street. The dude is thinking about sex, and when she look at him, she's thinking about money. If he's got gold chains around his neck, that's because he spent cash money on the gold chains around his neck. If he got gold chains around his neck, sweetheart, he's wasting money. Ain't no reason why you talking to a dude with $2,000, $5,000, $7,000 worth of gold chains around his neck, because he could have put that money somewhere where his money is making more money for him. He's walking. He don't even have a car. He got all these gold chains around his neck with a bus pass. What the fuck? That is a whole damn car. He could have he could have had him a little $50 to $100 short Tupac style chain around his neck and been driving his own Volkswagen. He ain't had to be big old herringbones with a gigantic pendant on it covered in diamonds. Make no sense. But they do it because flash on foot is better than gas in the car. But they peacocking with their money, and it's financially irresponsible. He said men and women used to dress very well in the 20s, 30s, 40s, and the 50s. The society was more formal and better behaved. You could tell the genders apart. He ain't lying. He ain't lying. You got nowadays people roll out of bed, go to the bathroom, and slip on some flip-flops, hop in a car, drive to Walmart, start shopping. Don't change up out their bed clothes or nothing. When I was going to college, we had girls that would show up on the college campus in a Victoria's Secret 2-piece. That was the whole outfit. The Victoria's Secret's top with the Victoria's Secret bottoms with the flares on them with some heels to match. That's it. You were literally in this classroom in your underwear. I don't understand why they do that. But they're getting the wrong attention. He said women don't date guys that live at home with their mommies. Yes, they do. Women date guys that spend a lot of money, and the only way that you can date a man that's spending a lot of money is if his standard of living is subsidized by somebody else. Because the average man, 70% of Americans make less than $100,000 a year. you're looking at 55 to 70,000 a year. You're looking at broke class starts at 79,000 and below. So if you're 65,000 a year, you're in that broke category. And in order for you to be spending $30,000 a year on entertaining other people, you have to be living a $30,000 a year lifestyle or living a $60,000 a year lifestyle with a second income from somebody else. Whether it's your mama, your daddy, your uncle, they don't have to be in the house with you. You could be living on your daddy land, in your daddy house, and you don't have to pay rent. So the money that you don't pay rent on goes towards paying for entertainment. But these women aren't paying attention to that. That's financially irresponsible. You should never be dating a man that spends more money in the streets than what he spends in his house. What they say, a person with a lot of stuff, a person that's got more stuff than they got money in the bank is a broke person. That's a person with a lot of debt. And women need to be paying attention to that. So when I'm giving y'all this information about trying to find a good person to go out on a date with and where to go out on a date, it's like, if y'all don't hear this coming from the dude, that the first thing that the dude says, ladies, and I'm talking to the men, but ladies, y'all pay attention to this. If the first thing that a dude says, well, I'm gonna take you to this 5-star restaurant and I'm gonna get you everything on the left side of the menu. So what he's doing is he has not figured out what your last name is, and he is committing to about $300 to $500 worth of money to you for that night. Now, everyone knows, just like Michael tried to do firsthand on the show, that dude's gonna expect to smash. So what's about to happen is that the cost of this date is the value of sex with you. And that mentality is wrong. So and a lot of women are going to take advantage of that blank check, and they're going to order all the left half of the menu, order a bunch of drinks, get all sloshed up, and then go back to the house. If they do sleep with the dude on the first night, they might force a stay over for the second night and only sleep with the dude on the second night, where he just spent $1,000, but now the sex is worth $1,000 because he has not shown you any value. Because he wasted a bunch of money on entertainment for you, but he's not showing you any value. And you're not showing him any value because you're only going for the entertainment. And then you're going to sleep with the guy. So y'all have been on 1 or 2 or 3 dates, spent $1,000, know nothing about each other except for how to smash and waste money. That is not the foundation to a good relationship. Not one with meaning, not one that's going to get you to a 20-year, 30-year, 50-year relationship. You got to understand, at 40 years old, 35 years old, you put yourself in a 50-year relationship, your dude is going to be on the downward slope of mojo. He ain't going to be throwing it around 3 times a week. You probably going to see him looking at you probably 4-5 times a month. Once a week kind of stuff. You know, y'all gonna be in situations where y'all can't remember the last time y'all done it because he ain't got it in him no more. You understand? The Philosophy of Money by George. Good Google. See? George Simel, first published in 1990. Very good. Michael's trying to make amends. The couple should invest money in the index funds together instead. But that's what I'm trying to tell you. If a woman finds a good man, he's got good decision-making skills, he's got good budgeting skills, he values her and he values her needs, but he's not wasting money to get it. At the end of the day, they can live on one income between both incomes. So she ain't got to quit her job. Her education and her career does not value the relationship most of the time because she's going to cost more money. If she's willing to use her career to invest in a brokerage account, index 500s or whatever, and put her $40,000, $50,000, $60,000 a year away, they can make $1 million in 10 years. They can make $2 million in 20 years. They have reasons to stay together and work this out. And then with that capability, in 10, 15, 20 years, they can quit their jobs, travel the world. They can live the kind of life where they give each other undivided attention. They don't have to work anymore. And 2 times their standard of living is being paid. So if you was living a $50,000 a year lifestyle, you can upgrade your lifestyle to a $75,000 a year lifestyle, and you will be making $120,000 a year off of your investment. Where your principal is $2 million, but your payout is 120, 150, 180,000 a year. Or if you're getting 18% interest or 17% interest off of your investment, now you're looking at closer to $2.5 million a year that's coming, or not 2.5 million, $250,000 a year that's coming to you as a payout. If you were living on a $50,000 a year lifestyle, you can up that to an $80,000 a year lifestyle, which is less than half of what you're getting from your stock option, which gives you the capabilities to travel the world with the other half. So now you can pay for your house for the year in America and then go live in Asia for a year and then come back and everything is still there right where you left it at. Women don't think about that part when they're talking to this dude because he got an expensive car. He got an S-Class BMW. She won't talk to him. He got a black label Lincoln. She won't talk to him because of the kind of car he got. But what kind of investment ideas does he have? What kind of portfolio has he built? How much money has he put away in savings? She ain't asking him them kind of questions. What do you do for a living? You know, that's what she asked him. What do you do for a living? How much money do you make? But she doesn't ask him questions like, if you invested in a portfolio, what kind of portfolio would you invest in? Do you do cryptocurrency or do you do gold and silver? She doesn't even try to find financial tips from this guy. You know what I mean? All she's looking at is he's got to entertain me. He's got to wow me. Fuck wowing you. You can wow yourself. If you've got $2 million before you're old enough to get Social Security, you just wowed yourself. Y'all be on social media with bricks of cash up against your head. You don't have to do all that. You don't have to advertise how much money you got when you can afford a first-class flight to Spain. Or let's be financially responsible. An economy flight to Spain, after your economy flight to Europe, after your economy flight to Egypt, where all you got to do is just call your friends from Europe, Spain, and Egypt. I'm going to mail you something because I'm not going back to America yet. I'm going to mail you some souvenirs from Thailand because we're going to Russia next. You ain't got to show out with all this bricks of money on. Look at how much money I got. Because everything that you own is in your hand right now, pressed up against your skull. You ain't got to do that. You know what I mean? There's a responsible way to do things. Michael says invest in a home. But Michael, if they invest in each other, I already gave you guys a whole show about having the capabilities of renting and investing the difference and doing 24-month leases and extendo leases where y'all are capable of building yourselves up without having to deal with the delays of buying the house. But I also told y'all about how y'all can get the houses, because I told y'all not just to buy the houses if you're going to mortgage those houses. They've got first-time home buyer things, but they also now have down payment assistance stuff where when you qualify in certain areas, you don't even have to pay the down payment. All you got to do is just pay the mortgage. And that requires you to have good credit, where I gave you guys tools where y'all can work together to build your credit up, pay off past debts, and work towards building your credit up by taking turns applying for credit cards. Once every 3 months, one of y'all apply. And then once every 3 months, the other person applies. That way, twice a year, you get two new credit cards, and twice a year, your partner gets 2 new credit cards. Y'all add each other on as authorized users. You don't issue a second card. You just add them on as an authorized user. What that does is that allows each person to share the same credit score. Now, your credit score is going to skyrocket. If one of y'all got $20,000 worth of credit, both of y'all got $20,000 worth of credit. If the other person can get $20,000 worth of credit too, now y'all both got $40,000 worth of credit. And if y'all build the life like that, y'all could be at $250,000, $500,000. Y'all can have more credit than y'all have debt, which increases your credit score, brings you closer to the 800s, which puts you in a better position financially when you start trying to finance houses and stuff. Anything over a 720, you're going to get the house with no problem. Anything over really a 650, 675, you're going to get the house. But anything over a 720, you're going to get the house with the lowest average interest rates. But right now, would they just slash interest prices? Mortgages are going to be going down. but it's not going to go all the way down to 5% by till late December. So if you're trying to mortgage a house right now, it's going to be around 7, 6.5, you know. But if you get it with no money down and you budget it, the house that you get, the mortgage is going to be the same or less than your current rent. You're good to go. The difference, overpay on the house, which saves you money. Because instead of putting a bunch of money on just the minimum amount and paying the 30-year mortgage, if your rent was $2,000-3,000 a month and now you're paying $1,000-1,500, you're capable of paying that $2,000-3,000 a month on your mortgage, paying double on your mortgage. So now your 30-year mortgage is going to be paid off in 15. And while your 30-year mortgage is being paid off in 15, and you're still living off of one income, and you're investing the rest of the money, and by the time you pay off the house, you've got $1 million in your brokerage account. So now you own the house, no mortgage. You can quit your job. Your husband can quit his job. Your children have gone to college or on their way to college. And while they're in college, y'all can travel the world. What woman's got that mentality on their mind on the first date? When she starts planning like that, you start looking at the kind of decisions that men make, not how much money they spend. He said, don't have to worry about flying baggage. Now you get to share the debt. Well, you only sharing the debt if you're dealing with financially irresponsible people, and that's one of the reasons why you've got to look at what your partner does. If she's quick to spend money instead of saving and investing, she's not financially responsible, and you don't want to date her no matter how attractive she is, no matter what kind of income she has. If she's got a $100,000 a year job with $120,000 worth of expenses, you're paying the other $20,000. She's broke and you're broke too. But she could have a $40,000 a year job with $25,000 worth of expenses, and she's putting away $15,000 on her own. She could add that to your $52,000 a year job, and y'all could be putting $30,000 away together. She's financially responsible. There's a difference between the two. Doesn't matter if she's ugly. What matters is that you can grow with that. So the next step that we got to be looking at is going to be those acts of services, because we're going to be getting down to eventually how to get into these dates. But the acts of services is going to be one, because the first step, if you wasn't here from the beginning, make sure y'all like and subscribe, is that you have to first figure out what their love language is so that you can decide what kind of date you're going to design. You learn about this along the way in the relationship, but in the first engagement, if you start trying to find out certain things like what's your love language, stuff like that, you can find certain ways to make certain dates. Because one date I gave you guys was finding out what the other person likes to eat, a favorite meal from their childhood or something that they've had that they missed, that they haven't had in a while, or if it's a restaurant, a food that they've had at a restaurant that they haven't had in a while that they want to go get, not because you're going to go and buy it for them, but because you're going to go to the store and get the ingredients and make it. The two of y'all are going to meet up at one of y'all's houses with the appropriate dishes and the appropriate ingredients, and y'all are going to work together to make the dinner together. Then y'all are going to sit down and enjoy the dinner. Throughout the day, y'all are shopping together, which allows y'all to make decisions together, which allows you to see what kind of partner you have, what kind of negotiation skills they have. You're not even going to discuss who's paying for it until you get to the relationship, to the register. But I mean, if she's that focused on it, that's a trigger for you to think about. Then, because really, if she really wants the guy, not the guy's money, she's not going to care who pays for it. The negotiation could be whoever pays for it keeps the leftovers, and whoever pulls out their wallet first, you know what I mean? It is what it is. Y'all can go half on it. It doesn't matter, because Walmart does split checks, but it's just a principle. The fact you guys go grocery shopping together, that's part of your date. Y'all put the stuff in the same car, so y'all drive to the grocery store together. That's part of the date. Y'all drive home together. That's part of the date. Y'all clean up the kitchen if it needs to be cleaned, and y'all set everything up, and y'all start cooking together. Y'all start deciding who's going to prep what, and then y'all cook together. And then when y'all finish, y'all get to enjoy the meal together. Throughout the activity, you're able to talk, you're able to share things, y'all are able to bond and make it a full day event, not a 2 or 3 hour event. and it would only cost the quantity of groceries that you bought at the store. And if you're doing two different types of meal, because one person might be a vegan and the other one might not be, one person might have allergies that the other person doesn't have, and y'all will decide on what y'all are going to cook and put it all together. The meal itself might cost $100, $120, and you have enough leftovers to last you for 2 or 3 weeks. But y'all could also agree to divide up the leftovers, and now y'all got food for the next 6 or 7 days, each of y'all, right? And y'all don't have to worry about wasting. Well, what are we going to do tomorrow? Well, we're going to eat yesterday's food, and we're going to spend a little bit of time getting to know each other and planning what we're going to do next time around. If you have a person that's willing to cooperate, negotiate with you, then you have a person that's going to be somebody that you can build a future with, which is a big difference than what we're used to, because used to expecting a lot of women to make demands, and then the man has to pay for those demands. It's not the other way around, that a man has demands and a woman has to pay for it. Some women do choose to pay for it, but those are the dudes that women call deadbeats. He said, remember, 63% are not responsible. Right. Out of the 70-something% of broke people. I'll pay you, leave the tip. Not when you're cooking for yourselves at the house. You're not tipping the cashier at Walmart's register, the self-pay checkout, Michael, because you're not going to a fancy restaurant. You're cooking at the house. So acts of service is going to be love through action, which is what a lot of women have, which is why women complain about men not doing stuff around the house, because the women don't feel loved, because a man isn't doing anything that she feels relevant to help her around the house, because their love language, ironically, is acts of service. And she probably doesn't even know that to be able to tell him that. But in these situations, you could cook their favorite meals or go all out and clean a room for them, light some candles, create an at-home restaurant vibe like we're talking about right now for them to walk into and not expect. And the effort that you put into the activity, they value that. Doesn't matter how much it costs. The fact that you did it and accomplished it, they value that. Don't forget gifts. All women love gifts. But we need to be clear, this doesn't mean expensive gifts, because some women's and even men love language is gift giving. So this is going to mean something that's small, a meaningful item like a printed photo of a favorite memory, or a secondhand book by an author that they love with a personal note inside. And then there's that physical touch. And this is about creating cozy, intimate settings, not smashing all over the house. So we're talking about lots of blankets and movie nights on the couch, or even just putting on some music and slow dancing in the living room, stuff to that effect. Where, ironically, I have come to find on Temu, you guys have things like little portable projectors that attach to your cell phones, so you can actually have Netflix. Most people have Netflix on their cell phone these days, and with that capabilities, you can Comcast your Netflix onto the projector and watch a movie outside. You could be in your backyard, in if you don't have neighbors right next door to you, you can have in your backyard, or if you got you one of those projector screens and you guys went out to the park late at night, or in a clearing in the woods where you can see the stars, and y'all can do like a drive-in movie night kind of thing. Y'all could even do it in the car, where you lay the seats back, you sit in the back seats, you're able to kind of watch the movie in front of the car while inside of the car kind of thing. These are the kind of romantic scenarios. So instead of spending all that money on a drive-in, you can spend like $20 on a projector connected to your cell phone and make your own drive-in, you know, where instead of being limited to their popcorn, you could be in the backseat with some Hennessy. Y'all could do whatever you want to do, but you got to start thinking outside of the box as to how you can value what your partner is looking for. And women that value the relationship, or would hope to value their relationship, they could chime in on this and take turns with finding, like Michael said, mirroring, take turns with finding their partner's love language and then doing things throughout the relationship to show him that she values him as well. So y'all can take turns on one another. Every other date, I plan it. Every other date, you plan it. And you're going to plan something that's going to touch my heart, and then I'm going to plan something that's going to touch your heart. And that values the entire relationship from both sides of the engagement. He says, if women expect, then I expect. No, sir. If she, if she expects, she better put in to get it. And men don't never get flowers. I don't have value in flowers, but if a woman brought me flowers, I would actually really appreciate that. Men don't really get any kind of gifts outside of a tie for Father's Day. And then the responsibility of barbecuing for everybody and their neighbors. So it doesn't appreciate the man day doesn't get the same respect as appreciate the woman day. Just put it like that. Now, the big takeaway here is that romance is going to be about how specifically you will love this one individual person, not about what some generic checklist says that you're supposed to do in these dates. All right. So once you know their love language, it's time for step 2, a clear set budget and theme. You have to be realistic. Pick a cap. Maybe $20 date first on the first engagement to cover both of y'all, or a $40 date, or maybe if you can figure something out, make it completely free. And then you're going to build around that with a simple theme. He says, put up a calendar. I'm available tomorrow. That only works for you, Michael, because you're like 70 something years old and like a 55 plus community, and you tell women to write your name on the calendar when you come over to smash, and they'll come over. But that doesn't work in a relationship. That when you guys are planning things, I mean, you can use modern technology and use Calendar, which is an app that allows people to schedule appointments that can then be linked to your Google Calendar. And if your real-time life experiences are being posted up on your Google Calendar, you can actually make your Google Calendar public, and then people know when you're at work, when you're not at work, what you've got to do during the week. But you got to be careful about that, because if you ever got a court date that's added to your Google Calendar, everybody knows you got to go to court. But Calendar, you could tell your partner when you're free, and they can pick one of those times and schedule a date for you. But most of us don't have that kind of busy schedule. He said, and that tie came out of your pocket. I don't know. No, my tie didn't come out of my pocket. Yes, remember to like and subscribe. Off to play chess. Make sure you get prepared for your checkmates. Now, the theme, when we start playing a theme, is going to be what makes the relationship feel intentional and special when you're going out on this date, not just some cheap date. So you can do a first date redo if you guys are long into your relationship right now. You can do a first date redo, or you can do a cozy nostalgia night with your childhood favorites, things that y'all used to do when y'all were kids. Or you can even have a travel theme, like different rooms in the house are themed like different countries around the world, something like that. And then y'all can have different activities and events in each room, and y'all can take the time to spend with each other to build off of that type of experience. So let's use the travel idea as an example, for example. So say you want to do Paris in the living room. On a tight budget, it's totally doable. You grab a baguette and some inexpensive cheese and some grapes. So the baguette, some grapes, and some cheese. Find a French cafe playlist, which you can get off of YouTube, or you can get that off of what's the other one? I can't think of it right now because I know that Pandora has it, and then the other one I can't think of the streamer. I've got it, and it's on the tip of my tongue. Starts with an S, and I can't remember it. Either way, YouTube's got it. Get you a playlist and start playing. For some final touches, you print a small picture of the Eiffel Tower. Put some candles on the table, maybe even dress up a little bit. Suddenly, your living room can feel completely different. Throw some fake accents in there, have you a little bit of fun. You can even do the long mustaches that curl up. Really get into it. But as you can see, once you have that theme, all the decisions about the food, the music, little surprises here and there just fall into place, right? Then step 3, the framework. And I love this part. Think of every great romantic date as having 3 pillars: the setting, the activity, and the emotional moment. So let's break those down. First will be the setting. This is all about the vibe. Tidy up the space, dim the lights, and add a few candles or string some lights up. You can even use a simple scent by shimmering one cinnamon and orange peel over the stove. So don't burn it, but if you put a little bit of cinnamon and some orange peels on the stove in some boiling water, you can get a nice fragrance in the house that doesn't require a lot of money to buy candles. Huge part of the setting: put your phone away. Don't just put it away, put it on silent, not vibrate, just about off. Because unless you have kids that are not in a house where you need one emergency phone to be accessible to ring, you need to have the most important people are in this room mentality, and no emergency exists outside of this room behavior that allows you or requires you to go for your phone, right? So any gamers, break that. Any content streamers, break that just for that moment. That actually shows how much more you value this moment. If you would have otherwise been streaming on social media, but you're giving this particular activity your undivided attention, it shows that it is important to you. This act alone signals that the night is extremely special, and you're going to be focused on each other. Now, the second pillar is the activity, which is the shared fun. It's got to be an activity that cannot get you pissed off. Okay? Because I know that we like to play games with one another, board games, Pictionaries, this, that, and the third. If you are a competitive person, you cannot do something that will trigger your competitive nature to the magnitude where you will get frustrated or disappointed if you don't win. Okay? Got to remember, this is about y'all having fun together, not you maintaining your personal undefeated streak from childhood. Okay? Now, this is going to need to be low cost and something that encourages conversation, talking, discussions. Okay? Not challenging their intellect, which is why, as much as Scrabble can be a fun game, Scrabble can be intimidating to individuals who forget how to spell certain words or who don't have the same level of intellect that you do. You don't want to get a game like that. You want to get something like Sorry. You want to get something like Operation. You want to get something like Shoots and Ladders. You want to get something that's a no-brainer type of activity. Clue, Connect Four, something like that, that we can just play it and it's done, right? But you can also think of things, like I said earlier, like joint cooking, walking somewhere pretty, in addition to the game nights. Then you have another one. You have a do-it-yourself tasting of something special. Get something simple like chocolate or a different kind of tea. And this is interesting because when you do something like this, you can actually surprise your partner with something that they weren't expecting by making a well planned out meal, and then have something slightly different. For example, you can make a regular um, uh, let's think mashed potatoes. You could have some coleslaw, fried chicken dinner, right? But for the drink, it could be an imported tea. Wasn't prepared for that. For the dessert, it could be either her favorite chocolate, or it could be a different kind of chocolate. Or if you've seen some of the things that I've been doing lately, I actually, a few months ago, made a um, chicken quesadilla and use a different kind of recipe to make the flavoring for the chicken, and then turned it into a health food item where there was a lot of vegetables involved. Sprinkle a little bit in there because I love cheese, but that one burrito was filling, right? And I made like 28 of them. Lasted me all month. I was eating one burrito 3 times a day trying to kill those bad boys. But that's going to bring us to the third and maybe most important pillar, the emotional moments. This is the part that creates that wow, you really see me feeling. It can be a simple toast, short speech, or handwritten note. It can also be a small surprise that shows that you're paying attention, like having their favorite hard to find snack ready, or making a playlist of all of that person's favorite songs. The emotional moment is what they'll remember, not how much you spent on it. So let's get into some ready to use ideas. First on the list, that at home restaurant night. This is going to be a classic for you. You can cook something simple like pasta or tacos, but focus on the presentation specifically. When you're doing it on a day-to-day basis, you can give two shits and you just slap it all over the place. But when you're doing it for this particular situation, plate presentation is important. If you want to strategically design the food for a certain type of pattern, that is important, right? Plate it very nice. Print out little menus on paper, put on some background music, and dress up like you're actually going out. To make it special, you can end the meal with questions in a jar about your dreams or your futures. Next idea, memory lane night. Gather or print some photos from your relationship and lay them out, which requires you to take photos throughout your relationship. Go through them and tell the story behind each photo. Ladies, y'all are going to have a lot of photos of when y'all was knocked out cold and he caught you with your hair undid. It's going to show that you look beautiful in your sleep, but you're going to be like, oh, you got me looking. I'm telling you, it's going to be crazy. Then you can each write down one new memory you want to create together this year, which helps planning for your future together. How about a sunset or a night walk dessert? This is so super simple. Not in heels though, ladies. Get you some sneakers or some flats. Grab some cheap ice cream, hot chocolate, walk somewhere with a nice view. Right now it's cold out. Y'all should do a snowball fight. But don't be hitting each other like y'all trying to get revenge from a past affair. Y'all need to be out there building snowmen and stuff like that. But a riverfront walk, or a park place, or even just a neighborhood with some pretty lights up. Get out there and get it done. End the walk on a bench where you read them a story or a short letter that you wrote. Matter of fact, I didn't even think about this, but when they said blizzard, we should have put our Christmas decorations back up. Since we didn't have snow for our Christmas lights in December, we should have had Christmas lights for our snow in February. It don't look right. It'll look right. Wait till the wait till the snow settles. Now, here's a fun one. A do-it-yourself movie premiere. You create little tickets, hand out earlier in the day to your partner. At night, you make the popcorn at home, and you can make different kinds of popcorn. You just go get you some regular popcorn kernels, but then you can put different stuff on it instead of just glazing it in butter. It can be glazed in caramel, it can be glazed in cinnamon, it can be glazed in honey and cinnamon, and you can have a different kind of popcorn. And then maybe a little bit of champagne, maybe a little bit of wine. It depends on if you want to have sweet popcorn and dry wine, or dry wine and sweet popcorn, or I mean, sweet wine and buttery popcorn, but kind of get it to intertwine with one another. Too much sweet might have somebody halfway in the bathroom partway through the movie. But sweet and sour, always a good combination to allow for the extra flavor. You can dim the lights, or if you do like I do, I have lights throughout the house that are color changing lights. You can change the color for mood setting to allow you to have more of a romantic atmosphere that would not have been capable of if you don't have light dimming opportunities. You might only have like on and off switches. So that's good. If you have on and off switches, you can actually change your light bulbs into the color changing lights, which don't cost that much. And then you can turn those on and give you a different environment. Build a blanket fort in the house. That always works out. And show a movie that is meaningful to one of you. Specifically, if you're doing it, you should probably show a movie that's meaningful to the other person. Or the second time you set it up, you do a movie that is meaningful to you and explain why you chose that movie. Either way. And specifically for those competitive couples, that game night and challenge night, woo, you can mix it up with a relationship card deck. I don't know if I've still got my card deck over here. This is one of them, Dating Assassin, where it's like 150 cards that ask you very in-depth questions. I have a link on the show, not on this show. I have a link on the channel about those cards. They're like $20 for the box. Very good deck of cards that works on your ability to ask in-depth questions to get further understanding about your partner. There's also trivia. You can do that, where you can start asking about each other and getting information about each other's past. And then silly challenges like trying to draw each other in 60 seconds. The loser makes breakfast the next week, or dinner this weekend, and the winner gets to choose the next date, kind of situation, where there's no love lost in the loss. Last one would be a creative date. Get some cheap art supplies, even just printer paper and pen work. Then give yourself prompts like paint out a dream home or draw a memory we share without looking at the paper. It's less about the results and more about the fun of creating something together. And you could be a terrible drawer. Your partner's going to be subconscious about being a terrible drawer. Doesn't matter. The ability to get it done is what you're trying to do. And then you can actually treat this one like a sketch artist, where if you are one of you is going to do the drawing and the other one's going to describe it, and you're going to try to draw what they're saying. That always works out well. And then y'all can switch and take turns and draw the other one. Now, one more thing that works well with this is that if one of you draws the other person's dream and then vice versa, you can take both of those dreams, put them into a picture frame, and hang them up into the house. Now, why would you do that? Because As you guys wander through the house, it doesn't matter how poorly drawn the picture is, you never forget the other person's dreams. And if you ever have company come over to the house, instead of the house only looking like she decorated it, the house actually starts being full of all the things that y'all love about each other. Where the house is not designed to have the man off in the garage, the house is designed to have the family together throughout the house. It should have a touch of him and a touch of her in every room. That's when you guys are seemingly equal. So we have the big ideas, but step 5 is about the small personal touches that makes these cheap dates feel absolutely luxurious. A perfect example is a customized playlist. This isn't just random music, it's songs to tie your story together. Songs from the year you met, or just a playlist that perfectly sets a cozy, slow mood. Another great one is creating a mini scavenger hunt with notes. Just 3 to 5 notes, not a lot of them, hidden in different spots like the couch or the fridge, and each note leads to the next and contains one reason you love them. And finally, a future focused moment. This is very powerful. Just spend 15 minutes dreaming out loud together. Talk about places you want to visit, traditions that you want to start or restart if you had them and they faded away, goals you have for next year as a couple. It's amazing how just a few notes and a pen can turn a normal evening into something unforgettable. A lot of these are at home ideas, but you can absolutely make this work no matter where you live. You just have to look for the right things. Look for your city's free or low cost options, public parks, riverfront walks, free museum days, or community events. And also remember that breakfast or lunch dates are almost always cheaper than dinner dates. So if you are going to go out for a date where someone else makes the food for y'all, instead of an expensive evening dinner, you should do a cheap breakfast. Or y'all can do a breakfast in bed thing and have a cheap brunch. And don't forget about nearby nature. Stargazing from a quiet park, a scenic drive with a thermos of coffee, or a simple picnic with snacks that you bought from the grocery store can be incredibly romantic. For example, if you're in Kansas, you could grab a coffee from a local spot, walk along the riverfront, and then head back home for a do-it-yourself dessert and a great playlist. Every city has its own version of that, right? Now, to wrap things up, we're going to have some unorthodox ways that we're going to get into this. And these are going to be wonderful, budget-friendly ideas to really make a date unforgettable. I'm going to do these in a little bit of a rapid fire here. First, host a power outage night. Turn off all the lights and electronics on purpose. Just turn everything off. Use candles only. Tell stories and connect without any digital distractions. When you turn off everything except the fridge, you will find your house get super quiet. You can hear the foundation creak in some places. And that's the best time to tell a story. If you've got a house with a fireplace, roast you some marshmallows. Connect without any distractions. Next, a mystery yes walk. One of you is the guide, and the other one has to say yes to every small, reasonable choice. So nothing dangerous, nothing perverted. Turn left here, yes or no. Sit on this bench, yes or no, until you end up somewhere fun. Or actually, you always say yes. So turn here, sit here. Look, fellas, this particular one I find the most entertaining because this is probably going to be the only time that she's going to listen to you without question. But this is one of those things that you can do to build that kind of bond, right? Then you guys can try a thrift store challenge. Go to a thrift shop with like $5 budget for each of you and pick out a funny outfit for the other person to wear. Then have a ridiculous photo shoot where you guys have to do like a dressing montage where y'all can put on different outfits and stuff and kind of get out of your character of being that serious, overly masculine dude versus the serious, overly masculine female. It's like loosen up a little bit. And then you have those do-it-yourself museums of us where at your house, yet again, you can set up little exhibits of your relationship. Ticket stubs, photos, inside jokes written on the paper, on the wall, and give your partner a guided tour. And probably you want to leave those up because now you have the house covered with all of you, both of you. If you got kids, kids are up there too. But how about a silent date? Go for a walk, but agree not to talk for the first 20 minutes, only using gestures. Gestures. It forces you to notice things in a new way. Debrief afterwards. And I mean, that's actually a very interesting way to go about doing things, because if you go for a walk and you can't talk and you have to communicate with your partner using gestures, you guys can understand each other better, where those gestures will be picked up the next time they're used outside of the date. Consider a skill swap. Each of you prepares a 20-minute mini class to teach the other person a simple skill that you already have. A dance move that y'all can throw up on TikTok, a few words in another language, anything. Make a goofy graduation certificate for each other. And the last one, a future time capsule picnic. Go to a park with a pen and a paper, write letters to your future selves or about your hopes for the relationship, seal them in a box, and hide it in a closet with a do not open until date on it. You can put it in a safety deposit box, or you can put it in a safe at the house. They have safes for under $100 at Temu where you can put it in there and lock it. Nobody gets to read it until it's time. The point of all this is making your partner feel seen, loved, and surprised has very little to do with your wallet and everything to do with your heart and your creativity. All it takes is a little effort, sometimes a lot of effort, and time. And you can save money that you can budget and benefit down the line, and then express more value towards the partner in your relationship than what you've ever experienced before in your lives. And being in our 30s and 40s right now, and some of us older than that, playing to the tune of Forever requires you to do more little non-costly things, because as you gradually go along in the relationship over the years, over the decades, spending a little bit more money is going to become mandatory during inflationary costs, but it's also spending a little bit more money here and there. It's going to be beneficial for that. Finally, we get to go on this vacation scenario. Doing less more often is going to be more meaningful throughout the year than sporadic grand gestures minimalistically throughout the year. Sometimes your relationship can't last from the last grand gesture to the next, but repetitively throughout the year, every week, few days out of the week, every other day, whatever, that you guys are doing something for each other and continuing your communication and continuing to work through any issues, because the relationship is not going to be problem free because you do this, but you will have more good times than bad times by doing this. And the difference between a good time, a bad time, and a normal time is that normally you should be having good times. And the one time that it wasn't good, it's all right because we've had like 26 good days out of this month. If you can say that 85% of your relationship is exactly what you would have hoped for, the other 15% you can work through that. It's worth keeping. When less than half of the relationship you can say that you benefit from, you start asking yourself, why am I still here? But these changes are changes that are inside of your control to make. And that's why I give them to you, fellas. So, ladies, as long as the situation doesn't make sense, I'm going to keep asking you ladies to make it make sense. So, ladies, please make it make sense. So, fellas, again, if you make these changes, I give this information to make you higher value men. Change the things that are inside of your control and then navigate around the things that you cannot. And ladies, while this is a male-driven podcast from the male's perspective, you too can improve your life and become higher value women by finding your 20-year plan and proactively putting forth the efforts to get there while paying attention to the actions and behaviors of the partners that pass you so that you can find one that matches your goals, not just your expectations. What you want to accomplish in life, that person should be willing to get there with you. And now that you're working together to get there, you can get there twice as fast. So tomorrow is going to be Sunday night. We've got questions and comments from the fans, and then we've got a pretty decent lineup that's going to be set up for the next couple of weeks. You're going to be able to see that stuff up there. I want to make sure that you guys remember to like and subscribe. Hit that follow button if you're watching us on Twitch or Twitter, and hit that heart button if you're watching us on Twitch and Twitter. Hit the like and subscribe button on YouTube. I want to thank you guys for coming to This and That. I'm your host, Xander, where we talk about this, that, and everything in between, and I'll see you guys tomorrow night.
Chase validation, now I validate myself. Building inner strength, putting doubt upon the shelf. No more unnecessary drama, no more wasted time. Climbing higher, constantly making my own climb. My network is my net worth. Choose your company wise. Surround yourself with eagles, not with sheep in disguise. Every interaction is a reflection of my brand. Quality over quantity, that's my personal command. Let's living a man